You know, Dirk, we got a little bit of time left on the show, so we wanted to do our little roundtable wrap up here. Yep. We have our gathered team of application engineers joining us here for the segment. Of course, we have Raphael Hasman of FARO, and we have Greg Maish of Starrett back joining us. So thanks, guys, for sitting back in and talking to us a little bit about some manufacturing issues. Yeah. We want to talk about that a little bit.
Just a reminder, anyone, you can still squeeze in some questions. Yep. We've got the FARO quantum arm guy here and the Flip HVR 100 guy over there. So if you still got questions on those, send them to us, and we'll get to them. Use QDL at qualitydigest.com, tweet at Quality Digest, or chat to us.
Yeah, that's right. And of course, Twitter, yes, at Quality Digest as well. Yep. And yeah, if you have any questions about their particular applications, that's fine. Mm-hmm. If you have general questions about manufacturing, we're going to kind of have a little roundtable here about some of the issues that we think are going on in the world of manufacturing today on Manufacturing Day. So we'll check that out. So what's the first topic, Dirk? Do you think?
We're seeing, you guys both work in the equipment field, so we're seeing more and more automation. Mm-hmm. Right. Regardless, we looked at automation there for, recognizing. FARO has a lot of automation in some of their products. FARO makes more than just arms. If people aren't familiar with FARO, FARO makes laser trackers and laser scanners and portable arms and all sorts of stuff. So let's start with you, Raphael. So where do you see in your particular part of the industry, automation going in terms of test and measurement? What's kind of your kind of the stuff that maybe coming up through R&D that maybe you can't tell us a whole lot about, but maybe just kind of give us a flavor.
Sure. Well, actually, FARO has their Cobalt 3D imaging system, so that's currently on the market, and it's geared towards automation. So it's a one-head unit, but you can tie them together to get an array and get really wide field of views. So in some of our demos, we're scanning the sides of doors, scanning full bodies of cars. So where I see the future of automation going is just being able to scan your part compared to the CAD model, go, no go, and then just optimizing that, through software, through implementation of robotics and 3D imaging systems.
So does the Cobalt mount on a robot, or is it on a stand? So
it can mount on a stand, and you can have just a table, rotating, or you can mount it on a robot and integrate that into your system.
Yeah, I see a lot more of that. I see a lot more equipment being mounted on robots, and the robots kind of just moving it around, and then the smart stuff's on the actuator.
Exactly. Yeah. So we use the robot kind of like an arm, right? Yeah. And we're controlling the robot and telling it where to go, and then our Cobalt scanner is what's capturing the data there and comparing that to the CAD model.
Okay. And we're seeing, obviously, we saw some automation with the Flip in terms of software automation, but what else is going on?
Well, we haven't ever done this, but we would like to be able to basically get a robot arm that can grab parts and place them right onto the machine, because that would be.
That's what I was thinking when we were talking earlier about about automatically recognizing a part. If you could just keep feeding that Flip, that would be pretty awesome.
Oh yeah, right. Because then you could have a lights out thing, just have it be reading parts all night long. Our software guys, they also make our hardware for our boards. They do have some I/O to do that, and we know of some other people who've used their software that have done it. They have a little bit more programming resources than we do, so we'd have to probably, we're going to look into trying to do something there. Yeah. Because then you could get into a cell in a manufacturing area and just have that be part of the process automatically. That's probably not anytime in the near future, but it's certainly something that I think we need to look at doing for sure.
So how does Starrett get the information from their customers in terms of what features they would like to see in existing equipment or upcoming equipment? And does Starrett go out and kind of solicit those questions from their customers, or are your customers just constantly giving feedback? Boy, I wish it would do this. I wish it would do that.
Oh, there's a little bit of both for sure. I think our sales guys also, they know of needs a lot of times of what customers are looking for, because they may lose a sale over a feature that we don't have yet. Right. And then a lot of times, if it turns out that that's a trend, we'll say, well, why isn't this a feature? And then oftentimes that's how we implement new things. Or a lot of times if I get, because I'll get an application study where they want to measure a challenging part, and that might guide a new lighting system, for instance.
Okay.
We recently designed a new dome light that has stepped angles on it to get inside internal threads on it. It was basically like an eyedropper cap. So, that is kind of specific, but that light can be useful in a bunch of other applications that we've had a couple of orders for them so far. That's pretty much a brand new thing as well. But so, either features that we don't have that customers would like to see, or just applications that we get asked, hey, can you measure our part? That's done a fair amount of guiding as far as new developments are concerned.
Right.
Well, you can't really talk about automation, machine intelligence without immediately thinking, of course, about employment and about what that does to affect the future of the industry in terms of people coming into the industry that would have jobs. So, Raphael, what are you seeing in terms of, for instance, both you guys are pretty young. You're pretty fairly new in the field. So, what are you seeing in terms of how we are bringing people successfully, or maybe there's roadblocks to bringing people into the field and letting them know about the opportunities in test and measurement?
With automation, it is it's a touchy subject, right? How are we going to replenish those jobs?
Right.
I think I heard Elon Musk was suggesting some kind of universal pay scheme.
Right. Yeah,
sure.
A few people have done that. Yep,
where everyone gets paid, a certain amount. But
base pay, yeah.
that's probably thinking, way down the line. But what I think is important is just stressing, basically teaching people how to use this equipment. Very similar to our friend that gave us a view of his shop and how he mentioned that we don't replace our employees. We teach them how to use the new
That's
equipment,
right.
Which is can be maybe difficult with the older generation, but it's all about staying one step ahead and learning, especially when you're in college, learning where the industry is going instead of where it is now. It's important to look forward.
Yeah.
And I think Greg, you had mentioned that one of the things that Starrett is doing is, I think you said like a college internship program and that sort of thing to kind of bring people into the fold, sort of.
Yeah, that was something that we at Starrett Kinemetric at our location are looking to do specifically. One of my colleagues there, he's a adjunct professor at UCI, and he's looking to get some interns to help us with calibration and possibly even some drafting for the engineering department kind of thing. And I really like that because I got some good experience doing a similar thing when I was in college. And that really led me to the job that I'm at now. I think that gives people a good idea of what to expect in a certain industry, so they're not just jumping into something that they may or may not be suited for.
Right.
And then it gives us the opportunity to maybe get some of these guys, fresh out of college. If they're a good fit, then we sort of have our foot in the door for getting them to help us. So I'd like to see that happen very, very soon.
I think I saw a question come in.
Do we have one? Great.
Yep. Any thought on automation? Well, okay. Automate, big word. Any thoughts on automation being more than just robots? Oh man, I think we could all talk about that.
Yeah, I can tackle that. Just from my perspective, I'm an applications engineer with FARO, right? So my job is to go out and train people on how to use our equipment. So one of the things we've been discussing is developing a database of videos, for example. Instead of spending the first half of a day, teaching people how to set up, how to calibrate, let's automate that. Let's show them a video before I even come on site. So I just show up, everything's set up, and we get right into the issues of teaching them how to use the equipment. So that's a form of automation in itself, right?
Yeah.
We're automizing our teaching process, right? So that's in every field. There's automation going on, I think.
Well, and even we were talking again, just to go back to the demo we saw. I mean, that wasn't robotics. That was pattern recognition. I mean, that was recognizing what's on there. That's automation. Even if you want to be a little bit broader, the Internet of Things, right? Just connected bits. So the ability of your equipment, whether it's Starrett's equipment or FARO's equipment, the ability for it to communicate its results to back to the factory, for instance, for tracking. I know some companies are doing that. Is how's this equipment doing out in the field? Giving maybe the company early notice that this piece of equipment seems to keep throwing up this error, and rather than waiting for the user, the end user, to call you and say, hey, we have a problem with this equipment. You've known about it for maybe a few days and are already working on it, and that's a form of automation.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We have another question, Chris? We do.
Yes.
Thoughts on automation and supply chain management? Wow. Well, Boy, that's another. You guys are asking some big questions.
Well, again, I mean, this is something. I mean, you guys can feel free to jump in on this, but a lot of supply chain management is also being automated. I mean, we talk about there's various software companies that we work with, where the different members of the supply chain are required to have, feed all their reports, all their daily numbers, sometimes even real-time numbers into their software, the software that runs on their platform, runs at their company, and that's connecting with their person that they're supplying to, giving that company constant feedback on, okay, how's this supplier doing, how's this supplier doing, so that the whole supply chain can be kind of automatically massaged as things go on.
And that ties in with another big picture item we talk about all the time here, which is risk management. I mean, understanding what your suppliers are doing and where maybe they're having problems before those problems become apparent. If you can track them further upstream, you're going to have a better chance of avoiding the potential critical failure down the line somewhere. So these are items that really affect a lot of what all of our viewers out there are doing for a living, I think.
Yep. Was that the same question?
Yeah.
Oh, no. You take that one?
Well, you guys, this is just great. Any questions with training, any concerns with training millennials for manufacturing sustainability with massive retirements of the baby boomers? Well, Greg, why don't you jump on that one? That's, I guess, a really good question. What do you think about that?
Let's see.
Well, the issues with training folks to basically be able to walk in and be operational in short term.
You talked about this actually a little bit, you touched on this actually a little bit earlier when I asked you the question about walking into a shop with this newfangled piece of equipment and you got the old timers using the shadow graph.
Right.
I mean, that's kind of that whole issue right there.
Yeah. Well, I think the sustainability for those industries is really going to be, how do we, because you're still going to need, obviously, people there for jobs. It's not going to be fully automated anytime soon. It's going that direction, but for now, you need people to be using that technology in a useful way. I think that being able to get the people coming in and replacing those, to be able to leverage the newer things as soon as they get there, that's actually going to drive progress, I believe. And they're gonna have to be more technical, I believe, than the previous generation.
And they basically are. I mean,
they are. Just myself. I grew up using a computer since I was 7 years old, and I know that just having done that, it's kind of like language, where when you learn that stuff at such a young age, it's intuitive for me in a way that it's just not for my dad. Like for him, he's got to learn it in a much more traditional kind of sense, whereas for me it's like, I kind of know where this should be.
You've been exposed to it since you were a kid.
Exactly. And it's going to just become more and more that way. And I think that another advancement that we haven't really talked about at all, but that isn't robotics, is machine learning. I think that computers are going to learn where these problems exist faster than we can pretty quickly. But you're still going to need humans to have to analyze and evaluate how to use that data in a way that's useful. So I think we're in a very interesting, the most interesting time ever in that sense.
Yeah, machine. What are your thoughts on machine learning, where computers are teaching themselves?
Right, it's a very rapidly evolving field. I think Google's assistant just wrote its own paragraph and created its own song, right?
Exactly.
So in the future, we're just going to go see a computer screen. This is created, right?
All of our work's going to be done for us, and we'll just sit around.
Great.
Just sit back and enjoy as everything gets taken care of.
Kind of like the Elon Musk base pay.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right. We had another question.
All right.
Thoughts about online self-paced training for factory technicians. Actually, I think you kind of touched on that with the explain that again.
Yeah, so FARO is coming out with the FARO Academy for a wide range of its products, where we're going to have videos that are interactive and that you can watch at your own pace, where you can learn how to calibrate your equipment, learn how to do very basic inspection processes. And then as that grows and we get more users adopting and maybe asking questions for specific workflows, let's say, we need to measure turbine blades. How, what's the best way to do that? Maybe we can create a video specifically for that task. So I think that also kind of addresses the issue with millennials, right? Millennials, now they're on YouTube, they're on Instagram. Maybe it's a matter of providing the right content that they're comfortable seeing, and using that to train millennials as well as your current employees, right? Optimizing that to have an effective product and show people how to use equipment. I think it's a very versatile time.
No doubt.
Interesting.
Well, that's it for our roundtable.
That was it for our questions.
Great stuff. And hey, you know,
and the timing's perfect.
You know, and hey, everybody, certainly continue to send us questions. If you do have more questions, QDLQualityDigest.com. We'd love to get them, and we'll send them out to the appropriate application engineers and experts to have your question answered for you. Well, that's our show. Many thanks once more to our sponsors of today's virtual Test and Measurement Expo, the Starrett Company and FARO Technologies. Thanks, guys, for doing that. Represented, of course, by application engineers Eric Perkins, who was with us earlier today, Greg Maish to my left, Raphael Hasbun to my right. Mike Koski is not here, but Mike was on the video that you saw earlier today as well.
And also, we really appreciate the time, energy, and expert insights on manufacturing from Gordon Stiles of Star Rapid. And special thanks to Robert Green and the team over at TransferFlow, just down the street from us, for opening their doors to us, and of course, opening their doors to the public and how important that is. And of course, a special shout out to Carol Thomas, director of the MEP, from literally wedging us in between flights.
She's probably going through the gate right now. She's like, I'm on my plane. And most importantly, of course, thanks so much to all of you, our viewers, for checking out the show and contributing so many great questions. A lot of great questions from you all, really. As always, you guys are the best thing about what we do is our user group, so thank you for doing that.
But we know the real reason you showed up. We do have the winners selected of
our drawing.
Randomly selected 3 people to win our 3 gifts. And let's read them off here.
That's right.
Okay. So for the Starrett tool bag, that is Nobel
Chen is the winner, and we have an Amazon gift card that was from FARO. That's Jerry Bowlerjack is the winner of that.
And the Amazon gift card also
from us, from QD,
Quality Digest, is Thomas Schulte. So we will be sending you guys an email. You know we have your email.
That's right.
And we will be sending that information to you on how to collect how we're going to send you your prize. You'll send us your address and so forth, and we'll get that all scored away. So once again, thanks to everybody for joining us. Thanks to our winners. I'm sure they appreciated hanging around. And we will hopefully do one of these again.
We will. We'll do more of these. Next week, of course, we're back at you with a regular episode of Quality Digest Live. But yeah, keep your eyes peeled. We'll be doing a show like this again coming up in the future.
And just to address that question that we did get, yes, this is all recorded. This entire episode would be on YouTube, and most likely individual segments will be certainly the Tech Corner, the technical segments that you saw, those individual video clips of those demos. Those for certain will be on YouTube. So if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, you should do that.
Please do.
YouTube?
That's right. YouTube, Quality Digest on YouTube. There it goes. All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us again. You all have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.
So long.